Now that I've seen WandaVision, the time has come to rank the entirety of the MCU, Iron Man to WandaVision, worst to best. How would you rank all 24 chapters of the MCU? Let's talk about that in the comments. Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my ranking of all 24 chapters in the MCU, Iron Man, all the way through WandaVision, worst to best. I'm excited to give you my ranking, and I can't wait for your ranking, so be sure to list in your ranking all 24 of these chapters, worst to best, and soon we're gonna have a 25th chapter. We got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the way. Are you excited for that one? And to add that to this ranking eventually, where do you think that's gonna fall in your ranking? I hope it falls pretty high in mine because it does look pretty darn awesome. There's going to be tons of spoilers ahead for WandaVision and everything that I'm going to talk about this. And if you notice that I jump over a few of these, it's because I've done tons of reviews for the MCU and I've done tons of rankings. So there's lots of material for you to go through and find the full details of all of my thoughts on all of these movies. So I'm ready for your ranking, and right now, let's jump into mine. Number 24, Thor: The Dark World. Even this, at number 24, I find fun and entertaining. I mean, my gosh, who doesn't love Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston together on screen? That dude always brings his A game to Loki. And Thor and Loki on screen together are very entertaining and very fun, and they really do save this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a lot of fun, very entertaining. It's just kind of bland. I mean, on paper, it's an epic plotline. The Dark Elves come to take the Reality Stone and purge the light and make their own dark universe. It sounds awesome, but I feel like Malekith was kind of bland. Overall, it was kind of bland. So it's not the best, but it's still a fun ride. Number 23, The Incredible Hulk. Now, I find that as I talk to friends and other MCU fans, I do seem to like this more than most people. I love Mark Ruffalo. I think he is the best Hulk because he definitely fits the flavor of the MCU, but I think Edward Norton did a great job as Bruce Banner in this version. I think this was a pretty good movie. I like the fact that it was gritty. I do like seeing Hulk versus Abomination, though I wish we'd pick up that plot line. Where is Abomination? I'm pretty sure he's on the raft, but like, how are they keeping him there? I'd love to see Abomination return. That would be a lot of fun. The dude where the blood dripped on his head and his head was getting bigger, I know that guy becomes a pretty big MCU villain. I'd love to see that story carry forward. So there are a lot of things that I would love to see go forward because I feel like it really wasn't that bad of a movie. So we still got some phases ahead of us with Marvel, so Marvel, let's do this. Number 22, Thor: Ragnarok. Every time I get here, there's blood in the water. Because it's Ragnarok. It's like everybody's favorite Thor, and as you can see here, third from the worst on my list. It's not my favorite Thor. Let me say this though, I don't hate this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I do love the humor, and I cannot wait for Thor: Love and Thunder. So I think this is a fun Thor movie. I just don't think there's any balance in this movie. I feel like the plot is very weighty. I mean, you have Thor losing and sacrificing. He loses his dad. He loses his best friends. He gets lost and stranded on another world and then has to sacrifice. He wants to prevent Ragnarok, and then he has to cause Ragnarok to destroy the land Asgard to save the people Asgard. The weight of this story is incredible, and I feel like we don't get beats where we really feel the weight, the sorrow, the pain, whatever's on Thor's shoulders, we don't really feel it because they quickly go over it with slapstick comedy. Infinity War has the balance that I'm talking about. Thor and Rocket together are beyond hysterical. They are such a great team, but then you have great scenes where you really feel the weight that is on Thor's shoulder, and I think it adds so much to the story when you have that balance. And so that's kind of what I feel like Ragnarok is lacking, and that's why it is where it is. Number 21, Iron Man 2, 20, Iron Man 3. Freaking love Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. I love that awesome Southern Baptist preacher accent that he gives it. The trailers just pumped it up to be so sinister. And can I just be honest, like, I do like the idea of the twist that the Mandarin wasn't the Mandarin, that there was a different villain. And the interesting thing behind that villain is the idea that he was holding terror in one hand and the free world in the other hand, like he wanted to own both and just to really rule the world that way. So, like, yes, on paper, that is kind of interesting. But Ben Kingsley was so good as the Mandarin that when he just turned out to be Trevor, it was very disappointing. Oh my gosh, that's how much I loved him as a villain. So I have no doubt the real Mandarin is coming. I look forward to that interpretation, but whoever plays the real Mandarin has got to bring their A game, because the Ben Kingsley Trevor fake Mandarin was pretty freaking incredible. Number 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 18, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 17, Captain Marvel. 16, Captain America, the First Avenger. 15, Ant-Man, and coming in at number 14, our new one, WandaVision. This one comes in at number 14 for me, and I would love to have raised it higher, but I gotta be honest, when I was watching it, like those first 3 episodes, the first time through, they were kind of tough for me to get through. And they were tough because, yes, it was fun seeing the aesthetic of the 2 black and white shows, and then getting into the 70s show, and doing the, you know, tropes of those types of sitcoms. There was a lot of fun to that. It was fun to see Vision and Wanda and those crazy, hysterical hijinks. Yes, it was fun, but I was getting frustrated because there were some really great moments where the characters of the show would break character. You could really tell something bad is going on here. What is going on? And it just felt like it was tedious waiting to get to some really big reveals. But as soon as we got to episode 4, it felt like the MCU. We got S.W.O.R.D. and introduced to them and what they do. We got, you know, Jimmy Woo returning. Yes, FBI agent Jimmy Woo and his close-up magic. That was incredibly great. Monica Rambeau, and then her origin of developing superpowers. Darcy Lewis returns, and as soon as that curtain was rolled back, boom, I was beyond hooked. I forgot about the tedious stuff I was going through, and when episode 8 aired and we were about to get episode 9, I went through and binged episodes 1 through 8 and then watched episode 9, and I gotta say, knowing all that I know, I had new things I was looking for, and it made the first 3 episodes of WandaVision even better. So I definitely like this show. It is definitely worth your time to watch and check out. And one of the things that I think made this better for me is I didn't have so many expectations. I didn't know that there was going to be a white Vision created by S.W.O.R.D. as well as this Vision springing out of Wanda's mind. I didn't know who Agatha Harkness was because I haven't really read Scarlet Witch comic books, so I didn't know who she was. I had no expectations and no theories about her character, just waiting to see what is really happening. And so the reveal that she is this witch, Agatha Harkness, was a pretty awesome reveal to me. There were a few things I was disappointed in, like Pietro. I'm not disappointed that he wasn't Peter from the X-Men universe. I'm rather glad it was a more simple explanation, and the funny thing is, he's Ralph. So he is the Ralph she was making fun of, the husband she was making fun of throughout all the sitcoms, so that is kind of funny, but I was kind of hoping that with his super speed and Monica Rambeau with her powers, there'd be more of an epic fight between the two. And so that part was kind of a letdown, but it wasn't the worst. So I didn't have tons of great expectations, and so I really enjoyed what it was and what we got. I love seeing Wanda in the Scarlet Witch costume for the first time, the name Scarlet Witch actually dropping for the first time. I enjoyed the battle between Agatha Harkness and the Scarlet Witch. It was very cool to see the S.W.O.R.D.-made Vision go up against the Wanda-made Vision, and how the Wanda-made Vision talked some sense into the S.W.O.R.D. Vision and even touched his head, because the S.W.O.R.D. Vision is the Vision killed by Thanos. And so when he touched his head to release his memories, that moment where he said, "I am Vision," and flew away, I'm disappointed he flew away and didn't come back and help in any way, shape, or form. I'm disappointed we didn't see him past that point. At the same time, I do recognize this is a big universe, and now he's out there. So I'm sure we will get this Vision in a future thing, maybe even in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So what I like is what WandaVision has set up. Yeah, her kids are now gone, but they're crying out to help for her as she's astral projecting, and she heard their cries for help. So what is that setting up? The fact that we do have a Vision out there in the world, and now he remembers everything. What is that setting up? The fact that the Vision she created said, "I was a voice without form, and then I'm a body without being a human, and then I was a dream, a memory made alive. What will I be next? What will he be next? So I'm very excited about the things WandaVision has set up, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes, and how much will Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness pick this up and carry these kind of themes forward. So there's a lot of stuff that WandaVision did for me that I thought was very cool, and I'm very much so looking forward to the future. Number 13, Thor. Yep. My favorite of all the Thor movies is the first Thor movie. I loved it. I loved the tone. I loved the feel. I thought Kenneth Branagh did a great job directing this and bringing that Shakespearean quality feel, and then really embracing that by bringing in Anthony Hopkins to play Odin. And he was a great Odin in this movie. The other thing that I loved, again, it's the cast. I mean, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Chris Hemsworth as Thor. All of it was just so good. They had the appropriate mix of humor and weight. Our introduction to Hawkeye was in this one, and I loved the overall theme, Thor learning to humble himself. He didn't even know he wasn't humble. I mean, this dude was so full of it, and he was unworthy to lift Mjolnir. And he humbled himself and gave his life for his friends, and then Mjolnir sailed to him. I thought that was a fantastic story, and I thought they did a great job telling that story. So for me, Thor 1 is the best of the Thor movies thus far. We'll see what happens when we get to Thor Love and Thunder, but for right now, I love this first one the best. Number 12, Spider-Man Homecoming. I love the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Tom Holland is my favorite Peter Parker and my favorite Spider-Man, and I think he does a stellar job in this movie. Plus, I love his and Tony Stark's relationship. I mean, Peter has lost his father. He's lost his Uncle Ben, and now Tony Stark is this new father figure in his life. At the time, as Peter is becoming a superhero and wanting to be an Avenger, here comes Tony Stark, a superhero and an Avenger, mentoring him and training him. And it's very cool because I think you really see Tom Holland's Spider-Man grow as a hero in this movie and learn the true responsibility. I know, it goes back to that cheesy line, with great power comes great responsibility, but without using that line, you do see it portrayed. The sheer responsibility of being a hero becomes a real reality to him, and it really does humble him. At the same time, as Tony Stark is trying to make Spider-Man a better hero than he ever was, you see that helps grow and stretch Tony Stark. So I think there's a lot of fun there having Robert Downey Jr. in this movie as the mentor to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And I did love the suit. I loved him talking to the AI in the suit. I felt like all of that was a lot of fun. Plus, you have Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Yeah, Batman as a Marvel villain. You won there. That was great. Number 11, Iron Man. Number 10, Avengers. Number 9, Avengers Age of Ultron. Yep, I ranked Age of Ultron above the first Avengers. Number 8, Black Panther. Number 7, Doctor Strange. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. This remains a favorite to me. And I'm glad, like, the love for this movie just hasn't worn off. When it was coming out, I thought, my gosh, this is going to be the MCU jumping the shark. Seriously, a talking space raccoon and talking space tree? Ugh, Marvel, you should not have gone this direction. First trailer onward, I was in love with this movie. Saw the movie, it lived up to all the hype of the trailers, and now, years later, I love this movie, I love this cast, and it's sheer fun. Like, it's a movie I could just pop in, not think too much, and have a blast with it. So this is not just a classic MCU film, but it's just one of my favorite movies. Number 5, Spider-Man Far From Home. This is definitely my favorite live-action Spider-Man film. I loved it. Yes, it's ridiculous. Edith, why would Tony Stark give a teenager this deadly weapon? As if instant kill in his suit wasn't deadly enough, he gives him Edith? And then, of course, Tony's worst nightmare happens, where he's using the glasses and he accidentally blows up the guy that's closing in on MJ. Yes, okay, it is kind of ridiculous that Tony Stark would give a teenager something as dangerous as Edith. At the same time, this is a universe with gods and aliens and superheroes wearing spandex. I can have a little bit of the suspension of disbelief and just kind of enjoy it for what it is. Because there's a lot in this movie that I think is fantastic. Not only do we have Peter Parker growing and maturing as a hero, but once again, he's dealing with grief because he's lost yet another father figure. But it's also more than that. The world is pressuring him to be the next Iron Man because they're scared. Thanos, an alien from outer space, snapped and half the universe disintegrated. Hulk snaps and half of the universe comes back. The half that disintegrated has returned in the blip. So now you have this fear of, are there Avengers out there? Is the team gone? Are you the new leader of the Avengers? How are we going to be kept safe from the threats that are up there that we can't even imagine? And so you have him dealing with this pressure of filling Tony Stark's shoes and then learning, no, I shouldn't have to fill his shoes. He couldn't fill his own shoes. This is about being the hero that I am. And he learns to be Spider-Man and not the next Iron Man, symbolized by him with the new suit that's the black and red, because it's him coming into his own identity as a hero. And I feel like the movie did a great job telling that story. Plus a lot of fun with Happy and Aunt May. I'm sorry, I thought that was pretty hilarious. And I love at the end where you have Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio was great. I love the deception that he pulled, and he fooled everybody. Like, I, with minimal knowledge of Spider-Man, knew that he was supposed to be a villain, and he managed to fool me! So I feel like they did a great job with Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal was awesome, but the reveal that the world saw that Peter Parker is Spider-Man thanks to the illusions created by Mysterio, and he framed Spider-Man for being a bad guy. It's like, what a crazy cliffhanger. And then you had Nick Fury, who was really a Skrull, the revelation that Nick Fury is up in a spaceship with the Skrulls, and now take that to WandaVision, where Monica Rambeau is about to join Nick Fury up there with the Skrulls. Holy monkey alive! I am looking forward to the future of the MCU, and I love it when they do things like this. Number 4, Captain America Civil War. Number 3, Captain America The Winter Soldier. Sometimes these two movies are interchangeable, but I think Winter Soldier is going to be more consistently above Civil War because I feel like its plot is not just relevant, it's done so well. Because the plot is this question, should we really lay down freedom for security? And Captain America doesn't think so. He fought for our freedom. He fought for us to be free, and that's what he fights for in this movie. So it's a very interesting plot. It's a very relevant theme, and it's a spy movie with a freaking superhero, and they did a great job with it. Civil War is also very relevant. I love that it's dealing with the idea of division. United we stand, divided we fall, and the Avengers are divided, and they fall right before their greatest villain, Thanos, arrives. So overall, both movies are great. I like the relevancy a little bit more with the Winter Soldier and how they deal with what they deal with, and they do it in such a great way with such great action. Number 2, Avengers Infinity War. And number 1, Avengers Endgame. Yep. These two Avengers movies are for sure in my top 2. I love Infinity War. I love how fast-paced it is. I mean, it picks up right where Ragnarok left off with the attack on the Asgardian ship, and it doesn't let up. It is action after action after action, while taking our characters and separating them into groups that make complete sense, where there is like the optimal pairings and the optimal chemistry. And so then they have great action and great storytelling and great character development in the midst of all of that. And then Josh Brolin as Thanos is just pure genius. And the fact that he wins, what a shocking ending. Endgame is a lot less fast-paced, but that doesn't bother me. I think it did a great job with its pacing. Slower in the start because they're dealing with the aftermath of the snap. 5 years have passed. We're really seeing what has happened with the world, the darkness and depression and fear that has really set in, and now the sudden hope that maybe they can time travel. But I love how they did time travel. That time travel doesn't change the continuity. It doesn't change the past. In reality, it's like they're creating other realities and other branches. And so they're not jumping back in time, they're jumping between timelines. I liked that explanation because I love our MCU history. And I was scared if they did time travel, I don't want anything in the history of the MCU that I love rewritten. So they did a great job not rewriting anything and telling this incredible story, and even bringing Thanos back after they killed him right in the beginning, and you're seeing like Thor just dealing with the trauma of not going for the head, and all the heroes kind of feeling the weight themselves and the guilt of maybe if I would have done this or if I would have done that, but now we have this opportunity and we could change things. I mean, the fact that Tony Stark comes into the fray because he doesn't want to do this time travel thing, and then he looks up at this picture of Peter Parker, and that's it. He's got to do this. He's got to bring Pete back. And so it's so good. And then Tony Stark paying the ultimate sacrifice. I am Iron Man, my gosh, to keep everybody back. That moment where everybody does come through the portals, it reminded me so much of End Times, of the second coming and the resurrection. I did a whole video called In-Game End Times. I really liked that video. I think you will too. Definitely check that video out. But seeing all those that were snapped away, that for all intents and purposes were dead, alive again and stepping through these portals at the most crucial moment as Captain America went to face Thanos alone if need be. Gosh, it's just so well done. These last two Avengers movies, a decade of build-up, and it pulled it off. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. So how would you go through the MCU in all 24 chapters? How would you rank them worst to best? I'm excited to hear from you in the comments and to see your ranking. Are you excited for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And then later we got Loki coming. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next ranking video, my next movie review, theological analysis, trailer reaction, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.